Well, hello and welcome to Just a Thought, Sunshine Cathedral Saturday early afternoon program where the Reverend Cindy Lippert and I, Durrell Watkins, the Senior Minister of Sunshine Cathedral, talk about a thought, just one thought for the day. We call it that. We start with just one thought, and then we cover the map. You know, it's just spiritual and intellectual buckshot. But we start with just a thought, and we try to get back to it by the end. For those of you who are new, as I said, I am the Senior Minister of Sunshine Cathedral. Reverend Cindy Lippert is an actor and a model and a life coach and a retired minister and a mom and a grandma. And she can offer all of those skills to help you at sagecoachingandcounseling.com, which is her practice, her ministry, her business that she has with her husband, and they have a lot of people working with them: therapists, life coach, social workers, and so the business experts. And so whatever you need coaching with, they can help you. And during the pandemic, of course, they have their prices for what they charge for their time. And yet during the pandemic, people who can't afford to pay the full price, they got a deal for you, and it's whatever you need it to be. They'll work it out with you. So great deal. sagecoachingandcounseling.com. And then, of course, I am the former Miss Subway of 1952 and a current underwear model. Girdles are underwear. So everything I said about Cindy was true, by the way. So let's do our thought for today, which comes from Erwin Gregg. Now, I love these people. I read these things. I love these people. I research these people, and I know that nobody else knows who they are. So let me tell you about Erwin Gregg. Cindy knows Erwin Gregg. I think she babysat Erwin Gregg, but
we went to grade school together. Yeah.
Erwin Gregg actually was one of the co-founders of the Divine Science Federation in the 50s. And he also took over the Divine Science College, later known as Brooks Divinity School in Denver, from Nona Brooks herself. And Nona Brooks was one of the earliest pioneers of the Divine Science movement. And so he was a big deal. Of course, he's no longer with us, but he was a minister, he was a teacher, and so from the works that he left behind, he's still teaching us. So our quote today comes from that same Erwin Gregg. He says, "Problems fall away." So glad to hear it, right? Problems fall away. Health is ours, and abundant supply is the result of keeping our attention on the big idea, the omnipresence of God. He writes, the big idea, hyphen, the omnipresence of God. I'm going to read it again, but instead of the hyphen, I'm going to say which is, just to keep us in what he's saying. Problems fall away, health is ours, and abundant supply is the result of keeping our attention on the big idea, which is the omnipresence of God. What do you think he's telling us, Cindy Lippert?
I'm really grateful this morning that the omnipresence of God is no respecter of persons, no respecter of religions, or any other humankind construct, that it's much grander, greater, and perfectly healing because of that. I was thinking just now about the idea of health. Of course, with Sage Coaching and Counseling and even with Sunshine Cathedral, we're more concerned about your spiritual health and your mental health, which go hand in hand. We have a pandemic going on right now, and it's called apathy. You see it everywhere. A good colleague of ours who is also with us with Sage is a licensed social worker, and she predicted in March that the unfortunate side effect of these masks is that it disembodies the human. We'd go to grocery stores and suddenly you're not giving eye contact. You're not interacting the way you typically could with your fellow human. She predicted that if this went on too long, it would create anarchy. And that's what we're seeing now. People are concerned about themselves. You saw it with the shortages. You couldn't find toilet paper, paper towels. Who knew that was going to be more precious than gold? And we have this idea that we talk about all the time that's so simple and yet so perfect. And that is that God is inextricably fused within every cell fiber of our being. That God is not some deity out there somewhere as the puppet master. Because if it were so, I would say this is a fail.
Yeah, the God out there with the control board, that God is asleep at the switch a lot. Uh, that God just disappoints over and over and over. And then when every 10th time something works out incredibly well, then we're supposed to be, oh yay, a miracle. And I much prefer the idea that there is a power within us that we can access. And of course, if we're all doing that and being our best selves, then what we've done is created heaven on earth. But we develop at different times. We grow at different rates. We're not all going to be our best selves all at the same moment. So there are problems, there are difficulties, there are conflicts, and yet even through that, we have this power that we can access that makes us resilient, that gives us hope in seemingly hopeless situations, that helps us go to peace instead of to pieces, that helps us laugh maniacally even when things don't seem very funny, and yet we find joy anyway. That's because of this power. And this power is omnipresent. And we can call it God, we can call it spirit, we can call it mind. It couldn't care less what we call it, because it's all energy. And so we're connecting to it and tapping into it and expressing it at an energetic level, not at the name we call it level, not at the ritual level, not at the following a creed level. It's all at the energy level. What did Emmett Fox call that? The mental equivalent.
Yes.
You know, that
Yeah.
we have that our level of consciousness, it responds, the one power, the one presence responds to our level of consciousness, which we can always raise, which we can always improve, which we can always strengthen and deepen and grow. And that's what the spiritual journey is about. It's not about pleasing or placating or begging a distant potentate. It is about raising our frequency, raising our vibration, so that we commune more fully, more completely with the power that is, with the life that's living itself through us, and how to let it do that in more beautiful, more satisfying ways. So it's a whole different theology. The omnipresence of God versus the emperor on a throne far away, who grants every fourth wish and punishes every third misdeed. Who even wants that God?
Well, it shifts us from victim to victorious. It shifts us from being able to have more control over our lives than we ever dreamed possible. Instead of waiting for somebody to show up on a white horse and whisk us away and make it all right, we are the chooser. And we are able to make a new choice in every moment and make a new decision for our lives and create a new life. The idea that we would let a God off the hook and say, well, we're being tested, or this is to see who really loves God. What kind of abusive idea is that of a parent that would constantly test you to see if you really love them? Instead, the idea that no matter what your sexual orientation, your gender by birth or otherwise, that your creed, your religion, your culture, your skin tone, whatever little box that the world can put you in, what if all of that were absolutely equal? That this power would actually be for you and never against you. That it always wanted you to be in the mode of forward thinking, forward growth. Look at the flowers that bloom. They rise and they fall. Same thing with life. We don't have to go beyond nature to see how God works. It's perfect and it's accessible to all of us all of the time. The idea that we would rather hate our fellow human because we don't understand them or don't agree with them, that we prefer to be in an echo chamber and preach to our own personal choir, that we would rather be at each other's throats than have each other's backs. That idea to me is counterproductive. That instead we could heal ourselves and each other by having each other in the highest idea possible. What kind of peace could be created right now in this chaotic situation that we have found ourselves in?
People sometimes ask, they'll say, why is, if God is everywhere and God is part of everything and we're all part of God, and God is all there is, if that is true, and the setup usually 90% of the time means they're telling you they do not accept it's true, or they have not yet discovered that it's true, or maybe they want to believe it's true, but they can't make it make sense. So they'll ask, if God is truly omnipresent, if we're just all in God and part of God, then why is this person cruel and maybe some sort of dictator? Why are these people violent and hurting people just because they're different or whatever? Or why is this good person struggling to even feed herself? Or why are these people who have access to some of the best medicines and the best collegial and family support, they still get sicker and sicker, maybe don't make it? Why? If God is all there is, why is there all of this discord or pain or suffering? And of course, that's the problem of theodicy. That is the problem that every philosopher in the history of the world has struggled with, because we think good should equal good. And so when people are good and they experience bad, I mean, there's a whole drama in the Bible, the book of Job, that struggles with that very thing. Job's a good guy who gets a lot of really bad breaks. What sense does that make? And so the whole story is, the struggle with, but I'm a good guy. Why is all this terrible thing happening? And what the image that comes to me now, and I haven't always had this, but the image that comes to me now when I get that question is, I love thinking of God as what, I'm a water sign, maybe it's a Scorpio thing, but I love thinking of God as like ocean, lake, pond, some sort of body of water. When I'm praying for you, in my mind, I actually see myself in a pond, and my prayer is me throwing a pebble in the pond, and the ripples go toward you. That my prayer is the stone that I throw, and then the ripples reach to you, because we're both in the same pond. And so water is often the thing, and the mystics they often did, and Rumi and Paramahansa Yogananda. So this God is sort of a cosmic ocean, and we're in it. We're drops in it. We're waves in it. The wave rises from the ocean and comes right back to it. It's always part of it. It seems to be separate for a second, and then it goes right back into it. That's us. But even that seems sort of grand and fa, and airy fairy and ivory towerish. Just think of water, period. And water can be brown. Like, I grew up in muddy creeks and lakes, and I always heard about blue water. I never saw any blue water. Water was always brown. We'd swim in it just the same. And water can be green, and water can be blue. Water can be still, or water can be turbulent. Like any water, the water can be pristine, or it can have lots of schmutz floating on top of it, weeds or lily pads or whatever. Water can have a lot of bugs attracted to it, but it's all water. And sometimes the water is brown, and sometimes the water is blue, and sometimes the water is still, and sometimes the water is choppy, and sometimes the water is clear, and sometimes the water has a lot of crap in it, but it's all water. And I just think that's a perfect image for, it's all water, and we experience it in lots of different ways. So I believe that we're all in the water, but there's more than one way to experience the water. There's more than one way to navigate the water. I mean, we can swim, we can float, we can be in a raft, we can be in a boat, we can float on top of the water, we can swim under the water, we can sink. There's lots of ways to experience the water. And so that's what helps me try to communicate the allness of God. The allness of God doesn't mean that we get our wish every time, or that there's never anything to learn or any challenge to overcome. It just means we're never, no matter what happens, we're never out of the water.
I like the metaphor of the water, especially as the wave is to the ocean. That's how we express God. That we are part of that. We are expressing all that is. I like the idea that God is accessible to us as long as we still our minds and focus on that. What happens is we focus on the seen rather than the unseen. An early mentor of mine said, if you could just understand that the unseen is more powerful and more dynamic than anything you can see, it would help quell any fear that you would ever have.
Well, you paint, and you'll get your paints, or sometimes you'll even do it electronically, and you'll go to your canvas or your screen, and you'll create these beautiful pictures. But what we see is the effect of your work. You had an idea, you had some tools, you had a process, you had some effort. Along the way, you made corrections. Oh, I don't like how that, so you would adjust. And when we see this beautiful picture, we're seeing the result of an idea and a process, and that's what the scene always is. We're looking at a result. We're looking at a product, but that product represents an idea and a process and a movement, and that's what everything, just like your pictures, everything we see, that is a result.
Well, that's a very good idea, and yeah, it is about that. What's interesting is how we judge each other during our process. Yeah. I'm growing out my hair. There's a couple of things I'm doing right now during the pandemic that is giving me something to look forward to. Number one, I'm growing out my hair. Well, I've gotten a lot of not really hate, but just, I liked it better the way it was. Well, this isn't the end result. This is the mess that the void is when you're on your way to something.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is I'm also on a diet, and that's giving me that to look forward to and give me some focus. And the third thing, my husband and I have moved to Albuquerque from Arizona, and we're building a house. So we've got that to look forward to. This helps give us some focus, whether you're painting a picture or sculpting or crocheting or reading or whatever you're doing. I think it helps give us some focus to have something to look forward to. But judging each other when we're in this chrysalis stage, and a lot of us are right now, there are a lot of people that never expected to be on a spiritual journey that have been forced into solitude. In some cases, they're living alone, and they are really experiencing loneliness for the first time maybe ever. They are also experiencing a lack of control like they've never experienced before. And it's very uncomfortable. And the outward expression of that is not all that great. It isn't. But judging each other, I think, is very cruel, personally.
Let me, we're nearing the end of our time, so let me throw in a plug just now that you're talking about people being lonely or anxious or frustrated or whatever. And that's one of the reasons why Sunshine Cathedral offers programs every single day, so that you can connect with humans, hear human voices, hear spiritual ideas every single day. We have midday prayer Monday through Saturday, noon Eastern. It's about 5 minutes. Actually, on Thursdays, we call it midday worship now, and we extend it to 15 minutes. It's a little homily and prayer and scripture reading. Reverend Kevin Tisdall did it last Thursday, and his scripture reading was actually from the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a 2nd century Coptic text. It was pretty fascinating. So anyway, we have midday prayer Monday through Saturday, noon Eastern. Thursday, it's actually midday worship, a 15-minute little mini service. On Monday evenings, we have Christians and Cocktails. That's a panel of us discussing all kinds of issues, and the audience can chime in. You can ask your questions or make your comments in a thread, and we have a moderator who will read those, and we discuss those then. If we don't get to it, they put it in the can to be talked about in future weeks. Then on Wednesday, we have Share in the Chair, where I spend half an hour with a religious leader from various traditions, and we visit. On Thursdays, I am a co-host. All of this is Facebook Live, Sunshine Cathedral. Then on Thursdays, I'm a co-host for Gay Town Hall, and you can find Gay Town Hall on Facebook. It's another happening out television production, and they have a show Thursdays 8 p.m. Eastern. We have anywhere from 10 to 20 co-hosts, depending on the week, and I'm one of them. And we go pretty deep. It's sort of The View meets TMZ meets Hollywood Squares meets Morning Joe, and but it's LGBTQ plus, and it's fabulous. Thursday nights, 8 o'clock, Gay Town Hall. Then Saturdays afternoons, Cindy and I share just a thought. Today's thought is about omnipresence, of course. And then on Sundays at Sunshine Cathedral, we live stream our 10:30 service. We have 2 services on site, but we live stream the second one, 10:30 Eastern time, the entire service, about an hour, sometimes an hour and 5. The entire service, music, prayer, sermons, readings. It is an exciting experience, and it's every Sunday. So all of that going on, something every single day of the week, a couple of things interactive, and there it is. All absolutely free, all available to you. Though if you would like to support our ministry, we appreciate that and welcome all contributions, because that's what makes all of this possible. And so we've got all that going on. And then in addition to what you can get from Sunshine Cathedral, we also have a feeding program. So if people are food insecure, they can come by on Wednesdays and get relief. They can get some food for their household every Wednesday at the Sunshine Cathedral, about 11 to 1. So a lot going on, and we appreciate your support. And then if you need even more personalized support, of course, we'll pray for you. But if you need to seek the help of a professional coach or counselor, Sage Coaching and Counseling might be just what you need. SageCoachingandCounseling.com. That's Reverend Cindy's ministry, and professionals, licensed professionals, there to help you with business, personal, therapeutic, or spiritual needs. So, a word from our sponsors. But all very useful. So if you are feeling lonely, overwhelmed, anxious, we got you covered between the Sunshine Cathedral and Sage Coaching and Counseling. Reach out to one or both of us, and we'll just not be alone anymore. We'll just be together in this new Jetsons 21st century kind of a way. Well, before I read our thought in closing, any last words from you, Reverend Cindy Lippert?
Well, I'm grateful for the internet, for all this technology, that we can spend this time together and that we can reach out worldwide, because we are touching lives as far away as the other side of the world. And that's a miracle. My grandfather would be amazed, absolutely amazed.
Well, thanks for joining our chat today. Our thought, let me just give it to you one more time. From Erwin Gregg, problems fall away. I just think we could just stop there. We could have talked the whole thing about that. Problems fall away. Yes, we experience them, but they don't define us and they don't last forever. Problems fall away, health is ours, and abundant supply is the result of keeping our attention on the big idea, which is the omnipresence of God. It's just a thought, but I think it's a good one. Let's chat some more next Saturday. Until then, God bless you.